You added two new job titles to your already impressive resume, actor and producer. Actor and producer of the short film Blue Evening, playing at the Pasadena Film Festival. Can you talk a little bit about that? First off, how did you find the time to get involved with this project in the first place when you're on the road, and how did this all come about?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy blocking out the time between the tours, between formerly the house show schedule that we had before things changed up a little bit. Um, I got a script from a very good friend of mine. His name is Jett Jansen. He's the writer and the director of the film. A brilliant guy. He's involved with a lot of different things. You can check him out on IMDb. He presented it to me, and I wanted to bring it to life. I said, let's do this, is basically what I said. So we were able to find the time. With Screen Actors Guild, we shot it in a week, and it's a short for anyone who's not aware of that. And yeah, we did our absolute best to get it edited on the post production process as quickly as possible, which is not a quick process. If you've ever, for anyone out there who's involved with film or ever produced anything, but I'm glad we took our time with it and didn't rush it, because I'm very happy with what we have right now. And the test watchers of the film were blown away by it. So, and that's what we want.
And not only are you a producer, as I said, you're an actor in the film as well. Given your schedule and everything, was there a lot of pressure to make sure you hit the right notes, so to speak, on screen, or did you block out some time in that busy schedule to be able to be like, okay, really get a feel for this character and not feel like I'm being rushed and get this done in a day?
With the help of everybody on board, all hands on deck with the film, we were able to chart a course for me to basically between TV shows, between Raw and the next Raw, or any house shows or overseas tours. We just charted a time for me to be able to fly in and float over the entire process of what everyone's doing on set, so I could learn as much as possible too. And I didn't think about rushing the process, and I didn't think about the stress or the pressure of being able to nail things down like I was on a time crunch. I really felt like I knew these characters in the script. And so from that place, I didn't ever feel like I was going to get lost with what was happening narratively in the film. And I feel like everybody kind of felt that way. Like, these characters felt very real to us. It wasn't so much character work where you're in a giant prosthetic and you're a Terminator or you're an alien or something. These were very grounded people. And I just knew the context of everything that was happening in every scene. So knocking out the lines word for word was not even a problem. And if anyone didn't do that in the film, it wouldn't have been an issue, because we all knew what the subject matter was, And I feel like acting and wrestling is a lot like jazz. If you work with a management team that will allow it to be, there's five musicians in a room, and one person starts to play a note and the next person starts to play a note, and you all kind of jive on creating this sequence of notes to create this beautiful song. And that's what it felt like being on set. And a lot of times at wrestling when we don't have as many limitations. So
that's great. And you talked about the subject matter itself, and it's some serious subject matter. It's got some lightheartedness to it too, but it does involve addiction. So when acting and producing this film, did you kind of understand the gravity of the subject matter, and how you kind of had to have a balance where it's, yeah, you want this to be entertaining, but you also want to respect the real life issues it portrays?
yeah, completely. Absolutely. I've had friends in my life who have suffered from addiction. I haven't publicly said this, but one of my best friends that I grew up with is a fellow named Oscar Moeller. He was my best friend in Toronto, passed away from substance abuse. I've never talked about this publicly. I don't want to go too deep into it, but maybe subconsciously when I read the script, that jumped off the page at me. But everybody has somebody like that. Everybody knows somebody like that. They've heard stories. It's a rampant issue, and we're not necessarily trying to bring more attention to it, because everybody knows, right? What we're trying to do is highlight a story of perseverance in a very real way. And that's what our aim was. We didn't want to slam anybody over the head with something that was not going to make them feel good. And I definitely think this movie is going to make people feel good, surprisingly, while touching base on a lot of very real things that are difficult to discuss.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for revealing that. And, God bless your friend and his memory. May he rest in peace. And I would imagine, too, while the subject matter was difficult and did hit close to home, it must have also felt kind of good to not be in that typical wrestling tough guy role either, right? It was a bit of a change for you.
Totally, man. And I bring this up as sort of like an analogy. So Metallica was always known to be this thrash metal band. They were, that's what they were known for. And then when their music began to change over time, they got ridiculed and critiqued by their hardcore audience. But like the truth of it is, and I remember hearing James Hetfield say this once, as an artist, whether you're a painter or a musician, whatever it is, you create through your own life experiences. And if you're fortunate enough, you'll experience a lot in life. Being angry and pissed off is not the only emotion you're going to live through. Sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're very happy, sometimes you go through these inquisitive periods where you go down rabbit holes on ancient history and whatever it may be. And I've had a lot to give as a performer outside of just the different iterations of Killer Kross and Karrion Kross that I'd had. And this was really cool for me to dive into that and express a story through performance for people to kind of get lost in and engage with and think about. Like a lot of what I do, I've always done this with the Kross character specifically, is outside of the business that the company is asking me to put on the table, I've always tried to create thought pieces for the audience. So that's cool. I'll do exactly what you need done in the ring and to tell your story, but I will find ways that's not going to take away from the overall direction of what creative is asking me, but I will find ways to give people things to think about, because not everyone does that. And that's also my way of kind of signing my initials on the art piece that I'm painting. And I felt very fulfilled doing this film because I was able to do that in every scene, and it wasn't a problem. All of us were. Everyone on set was able to do that. And I loved that. Like everyone was happy with what they did at the end of the day. And that felt like a home run.
For sure. And that's great to hear, and definitely looking forward to checking it out. Blue Evening at the Pasadena Film Festival, and of course, coming to a film festival near you.